right, let's continue our historic night at Epic 49 and bring in your next warriors into the cage. From the arena, please welcome Josh the Cage Hotta.
Josh making his debut out of the arena. I personally have witnessed Josh spar and train firsthand, and this kid's a monster. I mean, he's been wrestling since he was a kid. Now he's been rolling as an adult. He's a purple belt, very, very high-level grappler. I've seen him jump on the back to even professional fighters, and I doubt that anything less is going to happen. Really, it's going to come down to Maurice's composure, and I think that with the experience, it might play to his factor, you know. But nonetheless, Joshua's a real killer, and I think Maurice is equally the same.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting that you say that about Josh because he comes into this fight with a significant height disadvantage, some would say. But if you're a grappler, it might be an advantage. You know, you get to duck under early for those takedowns. You get to get under there more so than it would be if you were a taller guy trying to get under a smaller guy, right? Much tougher to stuff that sprawl when
his opponent,
you got 6 inches on the ground.
From Team Quest, please welcome Maurice Dorsey.
Yeah, and as you were saying, I mean, it does allow you to level change and get underneath it a little bit early. What I would do if I was one of these guys is try to keep my back off the cage. If you're trying to finish a takedown, it's a lot easier when you're in the center because the guy can't back up so much. You know, in freestyle, you get penalties for disengaging and not being active, but in MMA, that's essentially a solid takedown defense option.
Yeah, no, it definitely makes a difference. And, you know, if Maurice can keep his back off the cage and keep that distance from Josh, we might have an interesting fight on our hands.
Absolutely. I mean, if I'm Josh, I try to take the center of the cage immediately. If I'm Maurice, I'm either trying to control the center or I'm always moving laterally. A lot of times when you're sparring in the gym, you have lots of open space. And what happens is you get too used to just being able to back straight back.
Right.
And then you get thrown in the cage, and all of a sudden you hit a fence. And then, you know, fence wrestling is one of the, you know, most mispracticed art forms in MMA.
Yeah, well, a lot of gyms don't have cages.
All right, we got the Roaring Lion, Carlos Kramer, about to announce for us.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're ready for our second fight of the evening. And we begin out of the ADU Geek red corner. This is a lightweight bout. 3-minute rounds. Introducing your first warrior. Fighting out of the red corner. This man is a mixed martial artist making his amateur debut. He is from the arena, stands 5 feet 6 inches tall, and weighs 155 pounds. Please welcome Josh the Cage Hotta. And his opponent, fighting out of the Man vs. Pest blue corner. This man's a mixed martial artist, and he is from Team Quest, standing 6 feet tall and weighing already 155 pounds. Please welcome Maurice Dorsey. Your referee is none other than George Gallegos.
If I was Maurice, I'd probably be looking to jump on Josh early. It is his debut fight. You don't really know how he's going to react. You know, as the fight progresses and Josh is able to settle in, I mean, that high-level grappling is really going to play a factor.
I agree. You can't practice for this stage, you know? Seems like it's planned going in.
Yeah, absolutely. Josh gets in on the double. He drives him up against the fence. Switches to the single. Nice on Josh. Now he needs to bump and rip against the cage.
Yeah. Nice transitioning from Josh here so far. We'll see if the trained wrestling pays off.
Josh is surprisingly strong. I mean, I've grappled with him personally, and you can feel the lifetime of grappling / wrestling. He's working for an outside trip right now.
I mean, if you're 155 fighting at 5'6", you probably got some strength behind you.
Absolutely, and he finishes the takedown.
There he goes. Smooth as well, right into a great position.
Maurice needs to stay very composed right now. You got a very high-level grappler on top of you right now.
Maurice needs to get that left knee right inside of Josh's belly if he can, but it looks like Josh beat him to it.
He's going to try to kick off the cage, but Josh is keen to it. He needs to posture up and try starting to drop some ground and pound.
Yeah, Maurice wants to drop that elbow into Josh's right hip and hopefully get that left knee on the inside, but he doesn't seem to be making any moves towards it.
Also, the left knee is wide open to the body if he wants to throw it. I mean, it's a difficult move, but when you have that head and arm position, and he slides into mount gracefully.
He slides it right across. Slides it right across. He's got 30 seconds to work. These 2-minute rounds make it difficult for some of these grapplers sometimes.
Absolutely. This is more a sprint than a marathon, and Josh is very difficult to get off of you. Likelihood is he postures up, drops big shots, and then he ends up taking his back.
Yeah, Maurice is doing a good job of limiting the damage as of right now, though, you know?
Absolutely. I mean, if I'm Maurice, I want to get a little bit more busy. I mean, Josh could drop some big shots right now and get an 8-10 round.
Yeah, it looks like Maurice is going to survive the round.
Exactly what I would do.
Start scoring points. Oh, he gets a switch at the end. Well,
it's always interesting to see how they score rounds like that, you know, especially with the new MMA rules. You know, I mean, that was a very dominated round. Not a whole lot of damage landed, but at the same time, he essentially mounted him for more than half the round, and Maurice essentially didn't have anything.
Yeah, you know, it's an interesting case because Maurice definitely threw some heavy shots on the feet, and, you know, maybe even 1 or 2 of them landed, but Josh definitely controlled the round, and he was in the correct position and started landing some body shots there at the end, which we all know maybe don't hurt on the first one, but as they start to add up, they start to mean some things in the fight. So we'll see if Josh continues that on the way through.
Something looks like something's happening with Maurice right now. He's complaining about a shoulder injury of some sorts. Josh is smiling ear to ear right now. All he wants to do is fight more. They bring in the ringside doctor right now.
Yeah, Maurice seems like he might be out of this fight. He doesn't seem to be moving that right arm at all. Pointing to his shoulder, letting his coaches know. Can he move it up? If he can't lift his arm up, he might not be willing to fight.
He's grunting. I can definitely understand how the shoulder, especially when you're mounted like that.
This next round is sponsored by Jason Stewart and Stewart Estates. Thinking of buying or selling, contact Jason Stewart, our CEO of Epic at Stewart Estates.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, you know, they're going to call the fight, it looks like. And it looks like we have another first round finish. Maurice can no longer go. It looks like Josh Hotta's pressure just kind of, where are they going?
There's a little confusion with the referees.
There was,
at the ringside.
He waved it off. But now it looks like Maurice is ready to go.
If I'm Josh, I got to be bouncing around on my feet right now to make sure that I stay warm.
I don't know. Maurice looks ready to go to me.
I think he's having a little bit of FOMO right now. They're taking his gloves off. The fight is over, it seems to be, unfortunately. And, you know, I mean, I hope Maurice is okay. A little disappointing, I'm sure, for Josh. I mean, that was a very dominant first round. You know, he essentially spent half of it mounting him. But, I mean, you know, especially when this type of mounting pressure is building up against you in the fights, I mean, it is really easy to injure yourself.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, and as you've said, you know, obviously training with Josh personally, you've seen that he's competed with high-level guys. So when you step into an arena like this, there's definitely added pressure, especially going against a guy who, you know, might be 0-6 and maybe hasn't had too much success. So
Yeah,
You know,
especially with Charles Martinez, Vince Salvador, and the legendary Barry Yoshida. Those coaches always put their fighters through the fire, so to speak, to make sure they're ready for MMA fights. So, I mean, that's really how you know if you're going to have a good fight or not. Once you've slugged it out in the gym enough times, you're like, oh, okay, well, I'm probably going to be okay. It's unfortunate it went down like this, but I mean, hopefully we see Josh back in the ring. I feel like he was smiling ear to ear just since the fight started. So, got Carlos Kramer giving us the final word on the fight, but nonetheless, good fight, both these gentlemen.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have Maurice Dorsey out of the blue corner, unable to move his shoulder. That is giving a technical knockout victory to Josh the Cage Hotta.
Yeah, it's a great performance from Josh, and hopefully Maurice recovers quickly, and we'd love to see him back in here and getting that win, because he did start off with some great striking just to go off the bat. So, like to see what he can do in the future.
Yeah, when you see a fighter and he's smiling ear to ear in there, it just would shock me if you didn't see a little bit more of Josh in upcoming bouts.
Especially in his first fight, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that's the hardest time to smile in your first fight, when you're walking out with all that pressure. And he came out and, he answered all those questions that people might have had. So